What's up, everybody? Hope you are having an awesome day today. We are back out here on the YouTube channel. It's been a little bit. I've been busy traveling, doing some different camps and whatnot. Had World Team Trials last week, but I'm back out here. Hopefully, start putting out some content more consistently here. But right, one thing I've always promised myself that I was gonna be is I wasn't just gonna be that content person or wrestler that only shows off the wins and the good things. And right, I always want to talk about also the hard times, the tough times, the losses. And obviously, I've dove a little bit into my match with Austin DeSanto at the U.S. Open, my match with Marcus Blaze, and I haven't quite yet talked about my match with Jax Forrest, right? The match where he ended up beating me 19-8, and that's one thing I always want to dive into both sides and be authentic about things like that, because that's a part of the journey. It's the tough part to talk about at most times, and so I just want to open up a little bit about that and what was going through my mind, how I felt going into that match, what I think happened during the match, the feelings after the match, and just go from there. And so to kick things off, right, that was, to me, in my opinion, I was wrestling one of the best tournaments I've wrestled in a long time. And one of my goals going into this year of wrestling was to really tighten up my wrestling. I wanted to kind of hone in on being a lot more patient, picking my shots a little more correctly, not forcing things and wrestling that wide open style that I have in the past, because at the end of the day, when you're wrestling the best guys in the country, best guys in the world, you're not going to win if you're giving up 12, 16 points a match. And I've been in a ton of barn burners where there's been 30 plus points on the scoreboard, and sometimes I come out on top, sometimes I don't, but I don't think it helps my odds a whole lot to be consistently doing that. And so that was one of my goals this year that I wrote down, was like, I didn't want to give up more than 4 points in a match that I wrestled this year. And he scored 19 points on me, so wasn't very close to holding him to 4. But like I said, I was wrestling good, and that was kind of my game plan, is be a little more patient, pick your shots wisely. When you go, finish quick, and get to work on top. And so honestly, I was feeling really good, really confident. I'd known about Jax, obviously. He's been crushing it. He's a great wrestler. And he's a guy that's hard to replicate when you're training, preparing, game planning. He's very unique wrestler, good in a lot of different positions. And so as much as you try to replicate and get those feels, it's tricky to do. And so I thought I was as prepared as I could be. And I started off hot in that match. He kind of stepped forward a little bit, pretty close on the whistle, and just saw him heavy on the front foot. And I went and took my shot and finished fairly easy. And then it was kind of that weird situation where he kind of tried to leap back. Maybe it was a little folk style engraved in him or whatnot. But he jumped back, and I kind of got out of the way and pulled back, and ended up getting 4 points off of it. He ended up coming out after that and coming on top for 2. So after that first sequence of the match, it was 6-2, and it seemed maybe a little too easy in my head. How fast those points added up, and so I should have kind of stuck to my game plan of like, continue to be patient. If it's there, take it. But I kind of walked back to the center, and then boom, I started flying at him, and I can't recall the exact next sequence. I think I went 2-on-1 and maybe tried a mule kick or something where he was ready for it. Gave up a super easy 2, boom, right into the trap arm, and just like that, now it's 6-6. And once again, I had the opportunity to be like, all right, that is what it is. Let's get back to the game plan. But instead, it was like in my head at the time, oh, it's 6-6. I just had a huge lead, and just like that, the lead's gone. I got to go get this lead back. And then boom, I go into another sequence where I kind of just dive in, give up another easy takedown. He turns me again, and it's 10-6. And that's once again not out of 4 points. I can score that quick, right? That's one takedown to turn. That's 1 feet to back. Like, that's not something that I need to get anxious about and really think I got to start scoring here. But I think I once again got up and started flying at him with not a lot of setups, not a lot of positioning, no patience, and he ended up exposing me again, getting on top. Um, and so the match, I think at one point was 12-6. And then I took another bad shot, but this time I ended up catching my little position, kind of that Kendall Cross roll where you're blocking, you're rolling over. And they gave me two, and I looked over. It was, I think, 12-8. And, so I was like, all right, let's keep this momentum rolling. And then maybe 10 seconds later, it kind of peaked over, and then it was 14-8. And so in hindsight, that was one position in the match that I probably would have challenged. Looking back on it, because I do think that was pretty obviously all me on that, but it's a move where I do go across my own back, so it can get called a lot of different ways. Probably would have challenged that, but then it was like 14-8, and all of a sudden it was like, dang, there's only 2 minutes left in the match or whatever. I got to freaking pick it up. I'm down by 6, and he I think it was before this. He also hit me in one of his friggin' beautiful slide bys that he does when you're coming up. He'll kind of let you come up when you're in that front head position, slide you by, and he hit me in that one too. And just kind of snowballed out of control after that. I never got the momentum back really, or slowed it down, or just started getting back to my hand fight, my positions where I needed to be. I just kind of started being a little too sporadic, and he punished me for that. And like I said, he's a really good, very unique wrestler, and against a guy that's good in all positions, that's where I do think I'm good. I can't be stubborn about that. Obviously, he was beating me in those positions and taking advantage of my mistakes very, very quickly there, and so I had to, at some point in the match, I needed to dial it back and kind of just start fresh, pretend it's a 0-0 match and focus on the next points, and no matter what. And so that was kind of, I let that match get away from me. Like I said, I got out there. I thought it was super easy to score. I scored 6 points in 20 seconds, and then I scored 2 points the rest of the match. And so it was just, not a very, no adjustments made by me mid-match. And that's something I got to do better at. And so, that was that. And like I said, that one honestly, it stung pretty dang bad. And like I said, Jax is an amazing wrestler. It has nothing to do with that. It had hurt bad because I really thought this year was going to be the year I was going to punch my ticket back on the world team, and go get a world title, and I was confident in that. I felt like my preparation, my body comp, everything like that, like this is the best I've looked and felt, and strength-wise at 61 kilograms, and I just felt like I was gonna do it. Like sometimes I know everybody that wrestles, like every once in a while you just like have that some feeling in the back of your head like this is my time, and that's kind of how I felt. And then I felt like I just slowly let it get away from me, and then it faded, and then just like that, you don't get another shot till next year. That's the one thing that kind of sucks. For my weight class, it was U.S. Open. If you don't win that, you're done. And so now I got to wait till next year, and make some adjustments, continue to evolve and build off my wrestling. I do have now a lot of data to look at and see the areas that I'm going to improve on and be better from. I think that I do better, now that I got my hands on a guy like Jax and wrestling Marcus again, and Austin. It's like now I got some more data to continue to build, and become a better wrestler. And I appreciate you guys for following my journey, because a lot of you guys keep me motivated in the sending me messages and reaching out and just saying you're proud of me, and that I got a lot more left in the tank. And so I really do appreciate that, and I'm far from finished. I feel good. Body's healthy, and I think that the best is yet to come. And so, like I said, that was a tough one walking off the mat to deal with. It stung for quite a bit. More than any loss I could tell you in probably the last 3, 4, 5 years. So it sucked, and only thing you do is keep moving forward. So that's a little kind of on that backside of it. After the match, I pouted for a little while. I had my head down. It was one cool thing is my son was there, Madden, and he came running up to me, gave me a big hug after, and my wife and my parents were there, and one of my really good buddies. And so having that support system there makes you remember, obviously those emotions are strong in the moment, but as you're surrounded by those people, you just kind of remember, like, man, I have a great group of people around me regardless. And, they love me the same whether I win or lose. And, same with God. It's like he calls me to do my best, put my best foot forward, put the work in. But if I fall short, it doesn't change the amount of love he has for me. And so I love the sport of wrestling. It's not my identity or who I am, but I do feel very grateful that I'm in a position to continue to pursue my dreams to become Olympic and world champion. So thank you guys for following along. If you like this stuff, guys, drop a comment, show some love. Maybe send a little share out there for some people to watch. But I'm going to keep trying to pump some content out of, both sides of it. Hopefully you come along when I'm winning, you're there when I'm losing, and you see everything in between, because I think that's what it's all about. I think sometimes social media in today's day and age, it's a lot of the good and the best moments, but there's a lot of tough moments along the way that you got to get past, and that's what life's all about. How do you respond after things don't go your way? So thank you guys, and we'll see you again soon.